This is the way I live. Little boy still pushing big
Hey guys,
wheels.
Miss McKay here. So today we're going to be working on the distributive property. The distributive property is used when you have a set of parentheses and you cannot combine what's inside those parentheses. What we'll do instead is we will multiply by the number that is in front of those parentheses. So let's get started. Do not forget, the distributive property means multiplication, period. So remember, today we're working the distributive property. Distribute just means multiply. You distribute when you have a number in front of a set of parentheses where you cannot combine the like terms within the parentheses. So let's look at example 1. Do you guys see how we have 6 plus x in the parentheses, but we cannot add 6 plus x because they are not like terms? That's when we use the distributive property. What we're going to do is we're going to multiply 6 and x by the number that's in front. So I like to say draw your rainbows. We're going to multiply 0.75 by 6, and we're going to multiply 0.75 by x. 0.75 times 6 is 4.5. 0.75 times x is a positive 0.75x, and we'll rewrite the rest. Now that we've distributed, let's draw our little arrow, and now it's similar to the previous videos. We're going to move over the number that does not have the variable in it. In this case, it's 4.5. Because this is a positive 4.5, we must use our inverse operation, or the opposite of plus, to move it to the other side of the equal sign. The opposite of plus 4.5 would be minus 4.5 on both sides. 4.5 minus 4.5 is 0, so it cancels out just like we'd like it to. And we're left with 0.75x is equal to 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. 8 minus 0.5 is 7.5. Now, we're almost done. We only have one more step. Right now, we have 0.75 is being multiplied by x. So to undo multiplication, we use the inverse operation of division. We're going to divide both sides by 0.75. It cancels out on the left just like we'd like, so we have only x, and 7.5 divided by 0.75 is 10. So x is equal to 10. Our second problem is 5x plus 3 times x plus 4 equals 28. So again, we're working distributive property. We distribute when we cannot add or combine what's inside the parentheses. If you guys see here, we cannot add x plus 4 because they are not like terms. So now we're going to distribute the 3 that lies in front of it. Draw your arrows to know how many times you multiply. Let's rewrite our 5x. Then we're going to be multiplying 3 times x gives you a positive 3x. 3 times 4 gives you a positive 12, and we'll rewrite the rest. Now, before we start moving across the equal sign, let's see if there's any like terms that we can combine. If you look at the left-hand side, I have a 5x and a 3x. Those are like terms because they have the same variable. So we'll add 5 plus 3, 5, 6, 7, 8x. And we'll rewrite the rest. Now we're at the point where we can draw our little line down the equal sign. And we're thinking to ourselves, which one does not have the variable that I want to move? Well, I see that 12 does not have an x. So I'm going to use the inverse operation of plus 12 to move it to the other side. The inverse operation of plus is a minus 12. We're using our subtraction property of equality here. 12 minus 12 is 0. We're left with an 8x. 8 minus 2 is 6, and 2 minus 1 is 1. So now we have 8x equals 60. Our goal now is to use the opposite operation or inverse operation for multiplication. So we're going to divide both sides by 8 to undo the multiplication that's happening here. Well, the 8's cancel out and we're left with an x. Now our only goal is to divide 16 divided by 8, which we know is 2. Our last example says 3/2 times 3x plus 5 equals negative 24, and our goal is to solve for this x. Well, again, we use distributive property when we can't add what's inside the parentheses. We cannot add 3x plus 5 because they're not like terms. So instead, we're going to distribute the 3/2 to both the 3x and to the positive 5. 3/2 times 3x is 9/2 x, and 3/2 times a plus 5 is a plus 15/2 equals negative 24. Now, this is when we can draw our line across the equal sign to separate the left-hand side from the right-hand side. Our next step is to move the number that does not have a variable. In this case, the plus 15/2 does not have a variable. So we're using our inverse operation of plus to be a minus 15/2 on both sides. They cancel out on this side just like we like. And we're left with a 9/2 x is equal to negative 24 minus 15/2 is equal to negative 63/2. Now, our last step is we have 9/2 is being multiplied by x, so we have to undo multiplication with our division property of equality. So we're dividing both sides by 9/2. When you simplify, x should be equal to negative 7.